Alright, so we have mostly everything we need installed. There are a few other things we're going to need to install at various points in this class, but for now, we're good to go. With this video, I'm going to show you how to interact with Python a few different ways here. And in order to do that, I'm going to launch the Linux terminal that we saw in the previous videos. I have mine pinned to the dock down here, but if you do not, it is now available in your Start menu, or App Launcher, or whatever Google calls this menu. So you'll see it here. If you click on it and launch it, it's going to bring up a menu, and we need to tell it to start a terminal session. So if you see where you have a little penguin, the penguin is Linux's logo, so this is telling it to basically just launch a Linux session. Alright, so now we have the terminal open. Right now we are in Linux land. We have access to all of the Linux commands in your operating system. What we want to do is enter Python land. We want to hand off control from Linux to Python. And the way we do that is we launch what's called a Python shell or a Python session. And to do that, we simply type Python 3. Now when I do this, notice up here I have gmore@penguin.com. This is sort of like the Linux terminal. And then I have the cursor where I type in commands. When I execute this, a new cursor is going to come up. It's these three less than signs, or I guess those are greater than signs. This is telling us basically Python now has control of everything. So rather than Linux commands, now we have access to the Python language. So there is on the websites a glossary for common Python operations and functions and all that stuff that I recommend you read through. I'll show you a few things that you can do, and then we'll move over to idle, because idle is where we'll be doing most of the work in this class. So the Python interpreter gives you access to everything in Python, the basic arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction. Exponentiation is a little different in Python. You're probably used to using a caret like that. You probably think that might be 5 squared if you're familiar with other computer programs, but if you type this, that is not exponentiation. That's actually a logical sum. The caret in Python stands for logical sum, so 5 plus 2 is 7. We'll actually talk more about logical sums when we get to sets, but for now, just know when you have to exponentiate, you have to use 2 stars. Right, so this should give us the 5 squared. Okay, so the interpreter here is very useful for just checking if a command is correct, whether or not it's going to give you an error. But in general, we probably won't use the terminal too much. So to exit it, we type the command exit and then parenthesis and hit enter, and it releases control back to Linux. So now that's one way of interacting with Python. But the main way we're going to interact with Python is idle3. So we're going to launch idle3 from the command line here from the terminal, just by typing idle3 and enter. It's probably just idle, not idle3. Alright, give it a second to launch. Alright, there it is. So notice this is just another Python shell, right? It has the same header here that you saw on the Linux shell version of this. It gives you has the exact same functionality as what we were doing over here. So we can do the exact same things, right? We can add, we can print things, we can do all that good stuff. Mainly what we're going to be using idle for is its text editing capabilities and the ability to run scripts and save them. So if you go up to File here and go to New File, notice you can also hit Control N. It's going to launch the idle text editor. And here you can enter the Python commands without actually executing them. And then save them to a file. So let's take a look at an example here. Let's just do a real simple script here. Let's just print something to screen. Hello world. All right. So I can run this script with the run command up here, the run option, and then I hit run module. Notice I can hit F5 as well. But if I go ahead and hit this, it's going to prompt me to save it first of all. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to call this tests. I'm going to save it. All right, and then notice in the shell, it gives you a little bar here and tells you it's running your script, and then it gives you the script output. So we can do all sorts of things here in these scripts, and we will in this class do all sorts of things in these scripts. So we can calculate variables, print them out, and then run the script and see what the results are. So everybody should know what that is, right? 10. So that's the idea here, is this text editor allows you to save your commands and then run them all at once. And then it allows you to save them to your file system. So remember when I hit run the first time, it prompted me to save. So if I open up my file system here, so I'm going to go to the app launcher and go to files. When we enabled the Linux subsystem, a new folder appeared here called Linux files. And if you click into that, you'll notice that is where the script that I just wrote got saved. So anytime you do anything in idle and you save it, it's going to go into this folder. Anytime we do anything in this class, all your files and data should go into this folder. So we're going to be downloading CSVs and writing our own scripts and outputting graphs. Everything goes in this folder. So just keep that in mind. All right, so that was a brief tour of idle, the text editor here, the idle shell here, and the Linux shell here. I hope it was helpful. We'll have more videos coming up.